Welcome to installment number 179 of the Mitzvahs, as enumerated by Maimonides, the Rambam. Today we have 4 mitzvahs, starting with negative commandment 114 that we spoke about yesterday, which very literally is written not to shear the firstborn sheep. But of course, as we spoke about yesterday, it's not only speaking about firstborns or sheep necessarily, but all animals that have been designated as sacrifices are not allowed to be shorn. Next, we have 3 mitzvahs that all pertain to the Paschal sacrifice, the Korban Pesach. So first we have positive commandment 55, which is the commandment to bring the Pesach, the Korban Pesach, the Paschal sacrifice. And of course, this one is such an important sacrifice that this actually overrides the prohibitions of Shabbos as well. So if Erev Pesach comes out on a Shabbos, we are still meant to bring this sacrifice on that day. The next mitzvah we have is negative commandment 115, which is the prohibition of owning any chametz, any leavening, on this day of Erev Pesach, and that while bringing this sacrifice, one was not allowed to own any leavening, and nobody in the team that was doing this, taking care of the sacrifice, be it slaughtering the animal, sprinkling the blood, whatever it was, anything that had to do with this sacrifice was not allowed to own any chametz, any leavening. The next one is negative commandment 116, which is the prohibition of leaving the pieces out of the sacrifices too long, longer than its allotted time. As we've spoken in the past with other sacrifices, that we are not allowed to leave them out too long beyond their prescribed time. This is called nosar. This is the leftovers, which is prohibited from eating, prohibited from leaving over. Now, the Paschal sacrifice, the Korban Pesach, of course, is what was commanded of us when we first left Egypt, and there were certain aspects of it that were unique to those times alone. However, we know it is something that has continued, throughout the generations. That of course, while the temple was still standing, we still brought the this sacrifice, and of course, it is commemorated at our Seder tables. Now, what is especially unique about this particular sacrifice is that, unlike other sacrifices, as we've spoken about, we have there are so many different types of sacrifices, and there were some of them that were individual sacrifices. People brought on their own a guilt offering, a sin offering, or whatever. And then there were the communal offerings that was brought as a community, that everybody brought together, like the daily offerings. Now, what is unique about this particular, about the Korban Pesach, the Paschal sacrifice, is that it had both of these qualities. It was neither an individual sacrifice nor a communal sacrifice. It was something that needed to be brought. Each individual had to bring it, and each individual had his allotment that he had to eat and take part in. But at the same time, it was brought as a group. A group at a time had to bring it. And the Rebbe explains that what is so beautiful and interesting about this is that a person, that this specific sacrifice teaches us how the importance of the interplay between the individual and the communal. That sometimes an individual needs to put aside their own personal interests for the greater good of the community, and vice versa. When there's the community and there's the group, they need to recognize that they're not only functioning as a group, but they are actually a group of individuals, and that each person's interests and concerns matter and are valid. And this is the beauty of this specific sacrifice, that it was this bringing together of both aspects of the individual as well as the communal. And of course, the Rebbe concludes that how is this best manifested is that when an individual is able to take their own personal spark that they've been given, their own personal gift that they've been given, and to allow that to shine, not only for their own personal benefit, but what happens is that once you allow that spark to shine, that it actually benefits the communal as well. Have a wonderful day.